What's up, everybody? I'm former quarterback Malik, and if football, sports interviews, and having a good time interests you, then make sure to click the like and subscribe button as it really does help support this channel, and it also makes sure that you guys never miss a new video.
How's everyone doing, and welcome back to another episode of the Malik Roger Show. I'm sorry about how the visual is looking right now. Because I'm wearing green today and we only have a green screen, I got to kind of go back to the old way of doing it. So hopefully you guys can forgive me and we'll get this fixed. But I'm super excited to be here. I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the college sports world, especially because of the college football playoffs and what's going on with there. So let's go ahead and get into it. As you guys know, these are the Final Four: Michigan, Washington, Texas, Alabama. Now, I will say I think they have the best four teams. Maybe there's an argument for Georgia, but I don't think they have the four right teams. Okay, I think these are probably the four best teams in college football. When you talk about end of the year play, talent acquisition, talent basically retention on no injuries, things of that nature. These four teams are really really good. I think whenever you look at Florida State, yes, they deserve it. I think this is more of a testament to the ACC and kind of where the ACC stands more than it is where Florida State stands, because Florida State is a good team. They do have talented players. They're going to have guys that go on and play into the league and probably have a pretty good successful career. But I think when you talk about if I mean, we saw it. Ohio State lost Cardell Jones, and people that say, "Oh, well, Ohio State beat Wisconsin 59-0." We also remember that Ohio State also lost to Virginia Tech. So they already had a loss going in and they still made it. So to me, this is more of a testament, to the ACC, how basically the committee looks at the ACC, how they think of the schedule, how they think about basically how soft we are. I mean, we're having one-loss teams going in and over teams that are undefeated in conference, playing a Power Five conference, playing teams that, if you guys remember, the ACC actually was one of the only conferences having a winning record versus the SEC. So could be interesting down the road to see what happens. I do feel bad for FSU, but I do think these are the four best teams. Again, you could have an argument for Georgia in some aspects. Next, college football playoffs, kind of like I said, four best teams, not the four right teams. This does really, really affect school recruiting, especially when you're talking about, why would you want to play in the SEC over the Big Ten, over the ACC, where it's like, hey, no one respects them. The college football committee doesn't respect them. You have champions that don't even get to go to the Final Four. So that affects recruiting. Also, the publicity of the kid, the publicity of the universities. It does have lasting impacts on young athletes that really don't have, especially something about young kids that's watching college football, don't really have a favorite team. They're going to get picked based on who's winning and who's losing. I mean, I remember when I was growing up, it was very much, a Miami, Florida State, big fan base. Now it's a very much Georgia, Alabama, big fan base, because Alabama and Georgia have been winning so many national championships over the last like 10 years. So I think it's going to affect the recruiting. Again, like I said earlier, it shows they care more about the SEC and the Big Ten. Obviously, the Big Ten had a champion with Michigan, but in the past they have let they have let Big Ten teams in that have had losses before. So it just shows you kind of the bias towards them. And then remember, like I said, the ACC beats the SEC last year in bowl games. And so you're talking about, yeah, people can say what they want about the ACC and that, we have these teams and et cetera. But I think whenever you go back and look at it, we also beat some SEC teams in the bowl games, and they have to play us just like we have to play them. They have people down just like we have people down. So I think it could be interesting. Obviously, with the 8-game playoff, it definitely changes a lot of this. The biggest scenario, and I kind of posted on my Twitter, is what if Oregon's only loss is Michigan, Michigan only loss is Ohio State, Ohio State's only loss is Oregon. Okay. So you have three guys or three teams, one loss. You can do the same thing with the SEC with Alabama, Georgia, Texas, and LSU, because I'm pretty sure LSU doesn't even play three. They play one out of three. So you can have four teams in the SEC with one loss. You can have three teams inside of the Big Ten with one loss. Obviously, one of those teams is going to have two losses because they go to the conference championship. But you're saying that their strength of schedule is higher. The only loss that they've had has been a top 10 team, plus they lost again. To me, I think this is where when you talk about if an ACC team has two losses or has one loss, they're going to get swept under the rug instead of an SEC team. And so I know people say, oh, if you go undefeated and you win your conference championship, you're in. Cool. But what if you don't? Because you know they're going to put two SEC teams. You know they're probably going to put two Big Ten teams in there. But what about the ACC? And that's my biggest thing that I got a biggest problem with is that the ACC doesn't get it together. They're going to lose their conference because people care about competing. These guys want to win. There's too much money going in for the ACC. Just act like they don't care. And I get it that, he just said in a small letter. But if I'm him, this is my job. I'm on their door. They got to answer me in person, and I need an answer. You know what? Maybe the cops do show up. I don't care, but I think that he's going to wind up losing this conference, and he's going to lose his job just because he doesn't have the balls to basically go in there and figure out why the committee did this and how to make sure that next year this never happens again. Again, I get it that if you win the conference championship, you're in. But what if they let in 3 Big Ten, 3 SEC, 1 Pac-12, 1 whatever, Big 12, and then 1 SEC. I don't know if my math is right, but I'm just saying, like, what if that happens where there's, multiple of the Big Ten and the SEC, and then there's one from each conference because, their strength of schedule. Oh, look what they're playing. They're playing Texas, Oklahoma, Alabama, LSU every year. You know what I mean? That's what's okay. Let's make it 2 conferences. Make it 2 conferences, pick the top 4 from each after they play around robin and go. Like, to me, I think that's what it's going to come down to, just because some of these conferences are going to be weak. Some are going to be strong. Teams that are good in certain conferences or that have a strong tradition of being good are going to want to jump out of that conference or out of a weaker conference into a stronger one. Just say, hey, man, we can compete. We want to compete and we want to play for a natty, or at least say, hey, if we lose one game, we're not out of it. You know what I mean? I think that's one thing that's going to happen inside the ACC. Also, it's going to happen inside of the Pac-12. I think they're playing Mountain West teams now. So, again, there's a lot of stuff with strength of schedule that's definitely going to change with some of this realignment. Next, let's go over the ACC. Kind of like I said, the ACC does not have a backbone. For this to happen to Florida State, that is detrimental. I'm telling you, if this happened to us, I would have been catching the first flight to North Carolina or wherever H quarters is, and I would have sat there. It'd have been like the Malik Rozier boycott, where the people just don't move from the front door until they get answered. That would have been me. Just lucky it wasn't happening in Miami. Again, like I said, I feel bad for FSU, but again, it happened in Miami in 2000 and they were making fun of us. So, you know what? I think you guys probably would have got smoked by 21. But I at least do think you guys should have had the chance to go there. I definitely would have put about $5,000 on top of you guys' head that you guys lose by at least 10 plus. If the spread had been 10, I think it would have been probably like 14, to be honest with you. But it would have been interesting. And then again, it shows that, people think that the conferences are better than us. Kind of we talked about earlier, that one-loss SEC Big Ten thing is going to be something real that if we stay in the ACC for a long time, we could see this come to fruition. Next, when we talk about the portal, I've been in college coaching. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I would say I love the coaching aspect. I hate the recruiting. Hate the portal. It's just it's really not for me. To me, in the portal, no one say if you can have a starter. To me, like Dylan Gabriel, guy goes to Oklahoma from UCF, plays really, really good at Oklahoma. They look really good this year. Gone next year. Also, you got to re-recruit. You got to make sure, hey, just because I recruited this kid last year doesn't mean someone else is going to poach him. Kind of we talk about here with tampering. It's a lot of this going on. I remember before Cam Ward's name even hit the portal, they were talking about there's multiple schools offering him $1 million. That's tampering. That's illegal. And like we're like, okay, it's cool. And again, like we're over here trying to give Michigan the death penalty. And I'm one of them that, hey man, if you cheat, you're wrong. But then there's guys and teams tampering with quarterbacks and shit like that to pull them from schools. Like, I don't like it. And again, there's another quarterback from like University of North Hampshire or North Alabama. I don't know where he's from, but he's pretty high up. He had a really good season, but it's like, hey, that university took a chance on you, gave you a scholarship, put you in the offense that worked. You become successful and you leave them. Now, I get it. If you're like a Sam Hartman situation where like you're just dominating year after year after year, you just got to level up. I understand that. But if it's your first year, you have one good year and you're trying to run and skedaddle, to me, I think what you're going to create is you're going to kill loyalty from coaches to players, where it's a, what have you done for me lately? If the last 2 games you didn't play for me good, you're gone, because the odds of you staying here anyways are slim to none. See what I mean? I think that becomes very, very hard to manage and have a cohesive group whenever you don't know if the guy next to you is going to stay or play. If he plays bad, he's probably leaving. If he plays good, he's probably leaving. Like, you really don't know what these kids are going to do nowadays. And so that's why I believe, creating a culture from the young kids, especially get them as high schoolers, from freshmen, understanding their mindset, understanding that, you got to be patient. That, to me, I think the good players waited behind other good players because they understand, hey, what did he do good? What did he do bad? How can I take what he's done in his game and implement it to mine? Or what can I take from his game that I did not like and make sure that I don't do? I think there's a lot of that type of learning curve that is being missed because kids just want to play. Oh, we get on the field now. We get on the field now. We get on the field now. Some of these kids are getting on the field and they're just embarrassing themselves, to be quite frank with you guys. So I think it could be interesting to see how this portal goes. I think there's going to be a ton of kids that get lost in the portal. I think that's going to be sad. And I also think there's a ton of kids that leave and go into a worse situation. To me, there's only about 20% that transfer and go into a better situation than what they were actually in. Now, let's talk about the Miami portal, because I think this is big. I think we need 1 to 2 quarterbacks. I'll go into my next episode, be over who the quarterbacks I think we should get. But I think we need 1 to 2. I think you can get one, junior, senior. To me, I would love a senior or a redshirt senior, someone that has 1 year done and you can kind of just focus. I think you do need to potentially get one more portal guy. I think a lot of that depends on Jakari, because I think if you have an older guy, Jakari, that has multiple games from multiple years, Emory that has multiple games from last year, and a freshman, you'll have 4 quarterbacks, or at least 3 quarterbacks that have some decent experience. 1 should have a lot, 2 should have decent, 1 should have none. That's kind of learning. To me, I think you can build off that. Now, if you think Jakari is going to leave, then you definitely got to bring in 2 with Emory, because you never know what could happen. Again, I think we need multiple receivers. I think, Xavier's probably gone. I think Kobe Young is obviously gone to the league. So I think we need to fill 1 or 2 more guys. And I'm hoping bigger body guys that are 6'4", 6'5". Give me the fade. Give me another like Kobe Young Jr., something like that I think could be very dynamic. And third, we need safeties. Obviously, we know that Cam Kitchens is in the NFL or going to the NFL, and so did James Williams, just declared too. So we need safeties going in there, getting guys. The good news is that we produce safeties, and so we should be able to go get some good portal guys that I think will want to come to us and compete really fast because they know the job is open. They're competing against young guys, but also hope the young guys step up. I don't want the young guys to make it easy. I want them to compete. I want them to say, hey, this is my job. You guys can take it from me. I think if we can have that, I think it'd be very, very good. But again, these are, to me, the 3 areas. Quarterback's number 1. I think we saw last year, if a quarterback kind of sputters out, then it makes it very hard to win. Not saying that you can't win, it just makes it a lot harder. Number 2, receivers. I think this is one thing that helps the quarterback is getting him dynamic guys that can make plays and win on one-on-one. And then lastly, safeties, the deepest man on the field. They got to be able to be back there and protect. We got to have smart safeties because, again, the ACC is a predominantly throwing league. When you talk about guys being able to spin it left and right, you got to have safeties that can cover. So I really appreciate you guys. I hope you guys are having a great week. I hope you guys are having fun at Art Basel. If you're down there in Miami, please be safe. I know that's always a fun event. I don't know if I'll be able to make it, but if I am, you guys will know on Twitter. My Twitter is Malik_Rozier12. So please follow me, and we will start doing some Q&A and different things like that heading into next week.